Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
I am so happy to have you both here with me.
It's the best.
Thank you very, very much for coming all the way down. I appreciate
We're happy to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, we love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You both are amazing, beautiful mamas, and I couldn't think of anyone better to have sitting beside me to have this chat. So, thank you.
Love you.
Yeah, I love you both as well. I have no voice, so you guys are going to help
Yes,
take
absolutely.
this through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're both my dear friends. Christine, I feel like many of my listeners already know who you are.
Yeah.
But mama extraordinaire, nurse, go to, call Nurse Christine, help her, all things. And then Cecilia, we've all been dear friends for a long time
A
now.
long time. Yeah.
You're also my sweet girl's godmother.
Yeah.
Yep.
Such
So blessed.
yeah. And your kids range, you have all the stages.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even get to be a grandma.
Youngest grandma ever. I just want to say, youngest, best looking grandma ever.
Yeah, totally. And then how old's your youngest?
5.
5. Okay, I was going to say 4.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Momming in all the stages, all the seasons.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of stages. Guess we all do it for every stage of our children's lives, and it's every stage has its own special wonderful thing, special challenge, you know. But
Yeah, but we're grateful for your, you forged the way. In our women's group, you have forged the way, right? Like your oldest, how old is Daniel now?
24.
Okay, so your oldest is 24 and my oldest is 14. So that's a big gap.
Yeah.
So I take refuge in knowing that I'm trailblazing at the behind. So when I feel like I'm just keep swimming, just kind of tell me this stage is going to end, or tell me what comes next, or how do I muddle through this, or how do I be a mom in this stage? You have a story, you have a war wound,
Yeah.
you have a victory dance,
Yeah,
to
you learned
share
how to
with
do
us.
it.
Yeah.
And I think you also had an extra head start or an extra leg up because you have young siblings. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were more equipped to become a mom because of your family?
Yeah, I certainly didn't know anything else really, I guess, being around my siblings and going into motherhood young. It was just kind of this is just what you do. I didn't really think through it much. I just did it, It was just something I lived. So, yeah, maybe didn't think through it enough. Sometimes even now with my kids at any stage that they're at, I feel like there's so much thought and intention that we put into things, and not that wasn't there but I just kind of was footloose and fancy free, but with motherhood, just here they are, they're on me. Let's do this.
They were so beautiful.
Yeah, but kind of not entirely alone, but it felt kind of lonely back then. So to kind of get to a phase and have really close women who were also then going through it with me, So sometimes even with you guys, it's kind of funny. It's you're thank you for going through it and having something, and I'm I don't want to. I want to do a phase and not really know where to turn. And certainly there are people in my life, but there's something different, having our kids same age, kids and kind of be walking
Absolutely.
things together.
Yeah. And having them grow up together, there's something really beautiful about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That
really
our kids are
precious.
kid cousins. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're the aunties, right? We
Yes.
call ourselves the aunties to
Yeah,
each other's
big
kids.
extended family.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Not doing it alone is huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? And I think too, even my siblings, once they start having kids too, it's okay, come on, let's do this together, my sisters, I was just so grateful. But yeah, those first years, I think I was young and just kind of in love with my husband, in love with my kids, and just kind of did it. But after you have a few kids, it's oh, wow, there's a lot to do. And again, different ages and stages, they weren't all little at the same time. So their needs look really different. You're getting there with your Yeah. Yeah, all the stages.
That's different. It's like I know he's ready to fly and go. And yeah, I think he's going to do great. But it's that, like when I pray and I'm at a place of peace, I'm fine with him going. I'm like, go, enjoy university. You're going to a good, beautiful Catholic school. Like, this is a good place. He has other moms in town that I know he'll call or turn to for help. And I'm so grateful for them. But it's still like, he's my little man.
Yeah.
You know, he's still my little man, even though he's 6'2" and weighs more than I ever weighed, except
He
for
could
when I'm
like
pregnant.
scoop you up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
good. It's like, I'm excited for the adventure that awaits him.
And isn't that our purpose? Like from the moment we birth them, that we take all of our lifetime to separate from them, to launch them like back to the Lord. You know, like every step we take, every boo-boo we kiss, you know, like every heartbreak we hold. I'm going to get teary talking about it, you know, like this is where I am in my motherhood, is learning this like fine balance of like, oh yeah, you were never mine to begin with. And my job is to prepare you to go off and cling to another one day, whether it's a vocation in the priesthood or, you know, marriage.
It's the gift of motherhood.
It is, right? And for me, it's like this new love for Our Lady of Sorrows, Our Lady at the foot of the cross with Jesus, you know, and I'm just like, whoa, my journey through Lent looks different now. Now that I like motherhood, I'm out of the just survive stage of motherhood, which in the beginning, right, is all diapers and nursing and sleepless nights and will this ever end? And I feel like I'm in a stage now where I'm like, I'd actually go back to that stage in a heartbeat, because it was way easier to be tired than to not have the answer.
I feel that way too. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. And like like you're saying, you were tired, you were exhausted or whatever, but at the same time, when like now it's like holding all these hearts, it's a lot.
Back then your boob or a kiss could fix everything.
Absolutely. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's really hard. And I think like Rachel's baby here, so like our friend's baby, he's 3 months old, and to like look at him and you see their little like budding personality and you start to fall in love with them, and then they start talking and then you fall in love with, oh, now I know who they are. And then they get to be 6 and 7 and 8 and you're like, oh, now I know who you are, you're adventurous, or you're, you know, all the kind of things. And then as they grow, it's like, oh, I'm never gonna stop learning who you are, you know. And then they leave home and they do their thing and you're like, oh, like this is who you are, and you're living your life. Like it's so beautiful to like, but hard to just be just kind of watching, you know, like you said, no, like I can't fix all the things, but it's a slow progression. The Lord was very gentle to us when he gave us that slow progression of motherhood of like, you can fix most things. And, you know, I mean, sometimes we can't, even when they're a baby, right? And, but it kind of, they move off to do their own thing, and it's like beautiful. But you're just with Our Lady kind of like thinking of the Lord when he, you know, like at the wedding feast of Cana, like he said, no, I'm not ready, and she
called him into ministry,
and then
with her motherly sternness, to be a fly on the wall,
and understood that she was stepping back. And
I think it also was Jesus letting her decide when. Like, I think it was her chance. I think that was her second fiat.
Yes.
Like, and when he said, woman, what business is of it? I think he was like, are you sure, Mom?
Yeah.
If you are ready, Mom, I'm no longer yours.
Yeah.
I'm everyone's. Like, I am going to go into ministry. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Yeah.
And then her saying, do whatever he tells you is hers. Be it done unto me according to thy word.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm ready to share Jesus with the world. He's ready to go, thrive, minister.
Which is interesting, because when you think of like when they find him in the temple, he says to her, didn't you know I'd be here? Like, you should know I'm ready. And it's almost
house,
like he, you know, but it says, but he returned with them to Nazareth. Like he
was obedient to his mom.
To be,
Whereas like parents, as a mother, we are their primary focus in those first primitive years. We form them who they are, and then slowly we move from the front to the corner, to the side, to a little bit behind. And in your case, your son took on a bride, you know, where his primary focus is someone else now, you know, and we all look at, like, astonishingly, we were having these conversations yesterday about, like, oh my gosh, how is it? You know, like, what is it like for you?
Yeah.
But the Lord has been good to you.
It's actually the best thing ever. I highly recommend.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that response.
Yeah.
Because it makes all of the muddling through, and I'm in early teenage years with 2, almost 3 boys and young men. I can't even say boys anymore. They'll call me out on it. And fuddling through as I'm moving out of their line of sight. And I know that's where I'm supposed to move. But man, does it break my heart, you know, to have been the apple of their eye all those years. Everything they needed came from me, and it's not going to be that way moving forward. So you are an inspiration to have gone before, to know that it's like, okay, she lived it, she walked it, and she's rejoicing in it. And it's beautiful. And I think Our Lady is such a testament to that, you know, and if we follow her, that we will rejoice in whatever our children choose.
Well, and it's funny to me because a lot of people are like, oh, how's being a grandma? What's it, you know, what's great? What's it about? And they're like, oh, it's so great because you just, like, get to have fun, but then pass the baby back, huh? And I'm like, oh, like, that's not it. Like, nothing is quite, it's not about that. It's not like I get to play with the baby and then no responsibility. It's like, when I look at this child, I am so in love with her. And it's not because of, like, I don't know anything I had to do. Like, it just sounds funny, but for me, it's like you carry your baby and you give birth and nurse, you know. And so with her, it's like, you're just here, and there's a part of you that I just get to, like, easy love. Not like playing give you back all sugared up or whatever the jokes are, but just like, when I look at her, it's just like, how do I love you? I don't even know what this is, you know. And even bigger is to see my son be a father, you know.
What's that been like?
Yeah, like, and it makes me love the baby, because this baby, like, to look at him and his wife and their beauty and their parenting, like, it's just like, that's my baby, did that thing with the, or sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And we like.
And now your baby has a baby.
Yeah. And it's like, she is like part of me, but not, right? Like, she's someone else's to care and nurture, and I just get to love her. But really, there's something to look in her eyes and just be like, you know, yeah. So not the, like, I want to hold you and then not be responsible for you. It's just I just get to love you. Wow. You know, like, I'm so honored.
It's the labor of your love.
Yeah.
Of you and your husband and all of your hard work and the Lord journeying together to enjoy the fruit.
Yeah.
Which is so beautiful.
And then also the fact that he married a good, beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be having a very different conversation if he went astray or he married someone that was so, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that they also are beautiful, faithful, you know, that they're living the fullness of marriage and open to life, and like it's a different conversation, right? To someone that's kid is living with a random chick, you know, and maybe had a baby. Like, it's very different. And I realize that, but I think this is this is what I desire for my children, right? Like, I want them to be happy. I want them, and I do think the way in which we've chosen to sacrifice and to raise our families, that they know, like, okay, this is what dating's for, this is what marriage is for, this is
when the baby was baptized, she was baptized at the church that her dad, our son, had been baptized at, and his godparents came to the baptism, which was just so fantastic to have them there and look up on, like, the same, you know, like, they're standing around the baptismal font with the godparents that they chose, who are just also so beautiful. And I was like, oh, this is weird. It's like, it's not deja vu, because it's not my life, but it's just like, it was like this really big treasure to just, like, look and get to see that and be like, of all life's storms and all the struggles, like God is so faithful, you know, to be present in the hardest things, but also to taste the sweetness of the sweet things. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm like, I'm all about all the moments that are just like, we're all here together right now. Like everybody coming home for dinner. It's just like, I do not take that for granted. You know, when it's over, I message you guys, I had everybody here for dinner.
Everybody under the same roof.
Yeah. Because like one day they're all around your ankles and you're just like trying to swim your way out of the kitchen. And then one day you're just hoping they'll be back in the kitchen. Yeah. And so when they are, it's just like, okay, this is it, you know? This is what
and
it's
even
about.
if you zoom in on one moment in life, like maybe, and I don't know, maybe your son was great to potty train, but maybe you're like, he'll never be potty trained.
Yeah.
And like in that season, you're so stressed over like he can't, like he's 3 and he can't, like he had an accident, like he'll never be bigger than this. And in that moment of littles, you're so stuck in that, or he can't get rid of the pacifier, whatever it is. And then to like zoom out and be like, whoa, that was a tiny little struggle. And like nobody would know now that I struggled potty training or with a binky or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those early
or learning
years.
to read or anything you were talking
All the
about.
hiccups,
They're just,
And then here you are sending one off to college and you have one in the workforce, married, you know, like we're launching our children. We heard a homily on Good Shepherd Sunday that like the homilist, the priest was so loving, right? Like, and said like, as mothers, you are called to shepherd your children. And so look up and follow your shepherd as you shepherd your children. And I was so moved by that, you know, that if we keep our eyes fixed on Christ, that there is no struggle that is too big. He did it. We are Easter people by way of the cross. You say that a lot. And I cling to that because there's nothing that we could be asked to bear that he's not going to accompany us on. I think sometimes as moms in the littlehood or in the struggles or in the relationships that we're just like, we're stuck and we're never going to get out of this, you know? And I just felt so convicted while listening to his homily to like, oh yeah, in those struggles, I just need to look up to our good shepherd and he will call us out of wherever we're at, that we're never let alone, you know? And it's like, oh, it's so hopeful because I can be so tunnel visioned sometimes and get stuck in the melancholy or of the glass is half empty and I forget, just look up, just pan out, you know, like they're not going to wear diapers to college, I promise, you know, but it feels like when you have a 6-year-old, it's still in a nighttime diaper that you're never going to get past it. And those struggles are real and they feel like forever, you know, but then in the blink of an eye, they've moved through milestones and a decade has passed.
Yeah, and it's hard too, because I don't want to sound like or be saying like, those moments are so fleeting. Like, don't let them pass you by. It's like, no, some of them are horrible.
Some of them
they're just, and it's like, it's
or
okay.
a biting stage where they bite everyone.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it stinks.
Yeah,
I have scars from bites.
Totally.
I don't know why.
Yeah, and you're just like, yeah, it's okay that some phases you're like, this could pass. I'd be fine with that. Like, there are hard things, and you know. Yeah, I find sometimes people say to me, because I try to share a lot, like, yeah, just like hang on to it. It is, you know, like with my youngest, always I'm looking at it and it's like, things are different. I don't, like we have struggles to parent like this child maybe in their own way as a person, but it's like when I think of our first, and it's like, how do we parent? What does this look like? What do we agree on? What do we disagree on? How are we going to do this? It was like this huge learning curve, and now it's like that's not there. But
and we can't always romanticize motherhood. Like sometimes it darn near stinks. And I mean that's where I'm so grateful to journey with you in those early days. Like we've been together for like my oldest just turned 14. I'm coming up on my 15 wedding anniversary, and that was like you guys were all at my wedding, right? Like that was the start of our women's group. So to think like that there were some moments that sucked.
Yeah.
right? And that
Yeah.
to just to be in it and to be able to journey with other people to remind you that it's
And
okay.
cry
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
weep with each
Yeah.
other.
And pray and just be like, give me the grace.
Yeah.
Pray that I have the grace to move on from this, to move out of this stage, to whatever, get my kid out of whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's illness or we've all been through it. That I think it's easy to romanticize it, and it's not always roses and butterflies.
Yeah, and when people are like, "Oh, yeah, but I know, like, you say, like, I have to, like, appreciate it, enjoy it." I'm like, yeah, that, like, this part of your child being 6, but not the still wearing the diaper. Like, it's okay
Yes.
that thing
Yeah.
is horrible
Yeah.
and hard and bringing you to tears on a daily basis, because that is what you are living right now. So I feel like I don't know how to say it sometimes to people, because I'm, yes, like, cherish the moment, but not, like, if everything is really sucks, you don't have to be like, but it's
great.
good, because it's like, no, it's okay, and there will be the sunny days, and then you can cherish those, and then you can move through the storms. You know, you don't have, like, it's just so hard. We as moms, like, we're so hard on ourselves.
We are.
Yeah, and that's why I want to bring up Mother's Day in particular. Like for especially for the moms that didn't have a good Mother's Day, you know, or like the guilt. Like, okay, what do you do in that? Like,
Oh, there's been many a Mother's Day that I had an expectation that it would be amazing, that there'd be no outbursts, there'd be no fighting. Maybe I'd get a nap. Maybe I'd get like a food or something that I enjoyed, and it would just be topsy-turvy. We've had Mother's Day where kids have had the stomach flu and they're vomiting on you, and my husband and I would fight because I had an expectation for something and he didn't meet it. And then we've had Mother's Days that have just been glorious and simple. And I think the root of those for me was my disposition going into Mother's Day, that I had to really journey in myself and ask myself, what is it that I'm desiring, and what is my expectation of this day? What does it mean to me? And I had to be able to let go that to be a mother above all things was something that I had always desired. And then I'm in it with my spouse, and to be with my kids is all that matters. So if it means they're yelling and screaming as we walk through the botanical gardens, which is where I want to be, and they're picking flowers where it says do not pick, like all those things, you know, that it's like, just let go and to be in the moment. But it took me years, like a decade, to be in a place where I could accept a Mother's Day that didn't look like it does on the commercials.
because it never does.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We were talking before we sat down. I was like, some Mother's Days are super great, and you have a baby the night before, and you wake up and it's Mother's Day, and you're like, oh, this is the best ever. And then 3 years later, when your birthday and their third birthday and Mother's Day fall on the same day, and you're like, oh, this is a thing we're gonna have to deal with. That this will be my child.
You, not me.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that you were saying, like, just that. Kind of like the times of harder, the expectations, and then letting go. And honestly, like, I thought I had a few years ago, because I don't know, I guess I'd gone through like a better phase or something, and it was like, oh, like I remember posting on Instagram about like not needing to have expectations for Mother's Day, and I really meant it then, and I really did, and I had years of it. And then after a while, or whatever phase we're in, or like my Mother's Day after once my own mother passed away, you know, like, though all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need this to matter again, you know, and then you kind of, I don't know, like, just have to pray through it and try to remember to, you know, like, just let it be what it is. So it wasn't for me, like, okay, now that I've had kids for 8 years or whatever, and be like, oh yes, I can't put expectations on them. And like, I think that, and I feel that for that Mother's Day. And next year it might be like the same kind of thing because of whatever we're going through. So it's like a sort of continual surrender.
Yeah, and I don't, like, I think about some of my best Mother's Days, and like this year I loved it because it wasn't on Mother's Day. So today's Mother's Day. But last week, my kids said, last Sunday, they were like, Mom, can we celebrate you on Sunday? And I was like, oh, but it's not Mother's Day. They're like, right, but Liam's going to be going to college. Like, we want to just celebrate you. Can we do it? And I was like, sure. So I had zero expectations. And like, we sat down in the morning and they each wrote me like the most beautiful card. And just like, it was lovely. Like, I cried through a few of them and they just were lovely and they were very heartfelt, and they made me breakfast and coffee, and it just was so nice. And then by the end of the day, we had moved on. We were doing other things. And then at bedtime, someone was like, sorry, Mom, I forgot that today's Mother's Day. I'm like, but it's not. Like, that little morning was perfect.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and it was such a gift. And I'm fine watching I Love Lucy, or like, I don't care what we watch. Like, I love that you guys want to include me, but like, it's not about it being Mother's Day. Like, I just think y'all are awesome kids, and I'm so glad to celebrate this with you.
Yeah.
And it was so enjoyable. And it's like I used to joke that I knew my birthday, no, not necessarily my birthday, Valentine's Day and Mother's Day are the days I'm guaranteed Matt would not buy me flowers. Because he's like, I'm not, like, Hallmark can't tell me when to celebrate you.
The same.
You know, and I'm kind of glad, because it's like, I don't want you giving me flowers because Hallmark said you ought to, or because you saw on Facebook all these people doing it, so you want to do it. It's like, I'd rather just focus on the times where you choose to love me and notice me and acknowledge what I'm doing, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. It's funny. So we're here together, and yesterday we were at the store, and I was like, oh, these girls need flowers for Mother's Day. So I bought flowers for Mother's Day thinking like, we'll have flowers around and it's so beautiful, and you know, they can be beautifully arranged by people who are super talented and things like that. And I needed that like little bit of beauty, but also wanted to give it to you guys. And then today my family sent surprise flowers here, you know, and it was just like, oh, so, you know, and it's like, I didn't need them. I wasn't going to be like, where's my flowers? But
Double gift.
Yeah. And it was like, oh, they know me enough to know I would love to have flowers around, but I just went and, you know, just got some. So
and God is in it all. He's in the broken Mother's Days. He's in the flowers, and he knew, right? He knew that in the moment in the grocery store yesterday that moment would bring you joy, and watching Rachel arrange them would bring you joy. So it was like, and he was like, I still want to spoil you with a little bit more, because you're even worth a second round of flowers. And it's those moments that I'm realizing now as an older woman that I need to pay attention to, you know, those little winks that God gives us, that he's like, this is just for you. Do you see it? Hold on, I'm going to do it again. Did you see it? And I'm like, and it's taken me, I mean, I'm going to be 46 this June. It's taken me like years to see it. And I'm seeing it more in my motherhood, and I'm learning more to like let go and let God, you know, in those moments. And it's like, when I do that, when I abandon myself, then it's in that there's this immense joy, you know, that it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? Even in the crap, even in the Mother's Days that don't turn out the way they do, like, God willing, all our Mother's Day will feel like this, you know, but they don't always.
Yeah. But certainly some years kids are throwing up on you, and you don't even get to go to mass because you have to stay home with sick kids, and it's like, I didn't even get to mass, you know. But it's like, I am living the mass by sitting here with this throwing up child, you know, like that is, it's what we're called to in the moment. And yeah, it just, we can't, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be celebrated, and certainly women deserve it. Today, like at the mass, the priest was so beautiful, called up all the mothers. It was like such a crowd, and like
there was no one left sitting in the congregation. They were all standing on the altar. I thought, oh my goodness.
And I really was like, wow, like women, like we do that. We have the children, we continue this like human race, and here it is, all these women clustered together receiving this blessing, and how deserving each of us is in our own way for whatever that looked like, or however easy it was or hard it was, or, you know, whether the Lord was even invited into it in every moment, you know. But we sit there and and just like, I don't know, we just received it today. Like I was just looking at all these women who I don't even know and thinking like, we're so, just deserving of the Lord's love.
Yeah.
Like we kind of want it to be like, how are my kids gonna love me, or what's my husband gonna do to make sure my kids do something to love me, and really it's just like, oh, rest in the Lord's love of him being like, wow, you do this thing, like look at
like
that,
it's such a gift.
you know. Yeah,
I noticed an old woman beside us, a more seasoned, like older woman. I don't know how old she was, but I guess would be like in her 70s. And I noticed her noticing Rachel, our friend, breastfeeding and just smiling and grinning. And then I noticed to the other side a pregnant woman with a toddler who's trying to run for the altar. And then the mom's trying to help as well. And I'm like, this is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And then I could see the joy. And then I took such joy in this older woman's face. And just like, wow, like we're amazing. Like as being a mom, like that God is so good that like he allowed us to love our husbands and our husbands to love us, and this amazing person growing in us. And then we get the gift of raising them even when it's really, really hard, and we're tired and we're exhausted, and sometimes we're sick or they're sick, and then they get to one day marry someone else and then also create new life. Like I can't wait to all your kids are in their vocations and to see the Hahns did this, Scott and Kimberly Hahn, at David Hahn's wedding. So their youngest son just got married, and they had all their kids and grandchildren, and they took up the entire altar. It's beautiful. Like it was so beautiful, like all these kids, and it's like they wouldn't exist without Scott and Kimberly. You know, and they're like, it's our legacy. Like it's so beautiful.
Their fiat.
And the gift of it, right?
yeah.
And it's hard. There are hard times, but I don't know, asking Our Lady. And I lately, I've been really focusing on giving each of my kids back to Our Lady, but my oldest in particular, as he's going off, because I'm like, you'll be with him all the time. Put your immaculate mantle around him, protect him, watch over him, help him make good choices, because like I'm stepping back, you know, and like I'll always be his mom, but it's different when he's in college.
Yeah, like to be, and I feel like we're learning this together as friends and mothers, but like always to be their mom, but not that person who, like, we're talking a lot of like letting go and not wanting to like control the decisions our children make and letting them live their own life. And it's hard, and you know, it'd be nice if it was just like, and now you will do this and you will do this and you will marry this, you know, child of my best friend, please and thank you. And like it doesn't look like that, but we like again, the same with like my granddaughter, how like the love I have for her is just like seeing her exist just makes me love her, and that just like fills me up so full. I want to burst. I'm always like, I feel like I want to burst, right? And it's a similar thing at my daughter's graduation. And in previous years, she had graduated from something else earlier, and there was a limited number of people that could come to the graduation. So her dad and I could go, and my son and his wife, and then we had one ticket, so we took her sister. And this time when she graduated, there was no limit. So I'm like, wow.
Everybody can make a choice.
And so at least we're all going to the mass. So there's a graduation mass in a church that's not ours. At our church, it's so beautiful. It's really tiny little pews. So we take up 2, sometimes we're spread across 3 pews just because there's like, you know, however it goes. But this church had these big, long pews. And my kids were all sitting there, and I sat in the row behind them just because there was a pillar. Anyway, and my sister sat with me and my dad. And so my husband was with the kids, but my son and his wife, they came in like a little bit late. They traveled with the baby, and we weren't sure. We don't know if we'll make it in time for the mass. So I'd like totally let go of that. Okay, like we're not all gonna be there together, and that's okay, Lord. And then they slipped in just, you know, at the beginning, and I was so distracted by the beauty of all these people in front of me, and just like, wow, but they're not even, it's not like these are mine, you know, but just like to be able to look and appreciate and be like, wow, okay, how did that happen? Where did that come from? You know?
It's almost that little piece of like what heaven will be like one day.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's that euphoric where you're like, I can't really put a name to the emotion that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like you said, but there's just something elated, and I was a part of this, and this is part of God's plan, and it is so spectacular.
And God's mercy in that moment when you're just like, I was like a crazy mom, basket case, dirty kitchen mess. I'm still laundry everywhere. Like, it's just like, I still feel like we're just like, can we do this? Can these kids get educated and make it to college? Like, who knows? Or, you know, and walking all their heartbreaks and joys and all that kind of stuff. And so when I was looking, it wasn't like, oh, this is me and my husband, we did this. It was just like, look at these people. They're amazing. Like, you just look at your kids and go like, wow, you're a fantastic person. And
I'd want to hang out with you even if I wasn't related to you.
yeah.
Yeah, like I feel that way about my husband doesn't want to go back to the baby years. He loves here and now. He's like, these are the best. He's like, all of our kids, like, I'd choose hanging out with them over other adults because they're so awesome.
Yeah.
You know, like when they're all fighting with each other, it's very annoying, and we don't want. It's like we gotta divide and conquer, like get away from each other. So there's moments where it's super, but when they're in a good place, it's like, I just love you and I want to enjoy your company. And, rejoice in you.
Yeah, and to be just so grateful to God for all the moments that were like really low, really bad, really hard, where you're just like, I don't think I can do this, or I
have nothing
failing.
left.
Yeah, to just be equally having those moments of like, wow, you're amazing and you're fun, and not because like I did that, because like I didn't, right? Like you're fantastic young man or young woman because of who you are, and like you pursuing the Lord and pursuing truth and beauty and goodness, you know? Yeah.
A good friend of ours said Matt was afraid when we were pregnant, was afraid that he'd stuff up his kids, you know, and he was talking to Shane Bennett and was like, were you not afraid? And he's like, oh no, of course. You're going to stuff up your kids really bad.
Yeah.
Who are you to deny them the power of Christ's healing grace? You just point them in the right direction. You make sure they know where to go to get healed, because you will stuff them up. You'll stuff them up really bad.
Yeah.
Like, I will wound my kids.
Yeah.
And that stinks. I don't want to wound them. I
No,
won't
not at all.
purposely wound them,
Yeah.
but I will accidentally hurt them.
Yeah.
For sure. We talked about this yesterday about like taking on our own past trauma from our own families of origins and our own experiences through life and love, and watching your kids stumble and not wanting them to make the same mistakes or have the same, but by hovering too close, we can pass the trauma on to the next generation without even, you know, being aware of it. So always remembering, it's just like, okay, Lord, it's your will. It's not mine. Like, it's their conscience. They are formed. We've done this. I've got to let go
What
and
was
let
that
God.
saying that you said too?
Yesterday, it was overprotective mothers are often raised. If you're an overprotective mother, you are an underprotected daughter. And that's something that I'm working through in my own heart, you know, from whatever. And my parents are fantastic and I love them very dearly, but I have battle wounds. And so now as I'm forging through the teenage years with my boys, I'm falling into traps where I'm realizing if I'm not careful, I'm going to pass on my wounds to my kids, and I'm going to create a wound that's not theirs. So it's like they're going to do a good enough job of creating their own wounds. I don't need to add anything. And the Lord is so mercifully showing me to just like take a minute, step back and be in this. And let's like, this is something I talk a lot about, but like, let's shine a light in a dark place, invite me into that place. And let's heal that. And let's not pass that on to the next generation. And that for me is really powerful.
Yeah.
You know, just because we will something to stop doesn't mean it's going to stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's not our will, it's theirs.
And for them to have their own, like whether it be like, say with their friends or something, trouble with friends or at school. And it's like, if it was something that you all of a sudden are like kind of triggered, or you want to like go in and jump in and fix it. And it's like, I certainly have experienced this in like the jumping in or the making assumption, or sometimes I found my kids are like, I'm fine, Mom. Like,
yes.
I'm not upset about that. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Why am I triggered by it then, you know?
Should I be upset? And you're almost like creating this reaction that they didn't even need to have, because so in motherhood, it's like, okay, they are like, we are the ones that get to raise them, and that's beautiful, and that's with all our woundedness and every mistake we make. But for us to try not to put that on them, or be able to recognize when it's like, oh, this is the wounded me, and I need to. And sometimes they feel like that's maybe motherhood, right? Like the world has put out, like, there's this day and this is what you do, and like you said, you buy the flowers, or this is when you get the attention. But it's like, it's just so funny us kind of being here. So it's like, oh, I get, like, every day can be Mother's Day. Last week can be Mother's Day, or every day of my life, just being with them, having them say, I love you at night. And, you know, before we left, it's like my little boy's like, kissing for how many days are you gone?
Yes.
Counting the days and then getting the kiss for the day, because there's not going to be a good night kiss, you know? It's like, so when we try to lump the experience of motherhood, or like being
Into
appreciated into one day,
Of course we're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And nobody, not our husbands or our kids, I mean, our kids are just kids, you know, can even
and they'll say things
that.
like, of course I love you, Mom. Like, you're my mom.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're so matter of fact, especially like under 12. Yeah. Like, they could be upset for not getting switch time, let's be honest. You know, and it's just like, whatever. But then, like, they're with your head in your lap later on that night, you know, just looking for a little bit of affection. I have a prickly cactus, I call him Love in Pieces, you know, that he's sharp and prickly on the outside, but at the end of the day, he wants a little snuggle in with Mom. So they know that we love them, and they love us, you know? So it's like, we have to not put an expectation to funnel it into one day and go looking for it.
And then being okay when they're not okay. So, like, I feel like with teenagers, I know a lot of people talk about teens, and I'm about to have my third teenager. And preteens can be very hormonal. But I've had some that, like, yell and throw a fit and, like, I hate you, you're the worst mom ever. And the same day, Mom, you are the greatest mom in the world. I love you so much.
Gotta love hormones.
But it's like, I didn't take offense to it. So just as a toddler that's throwing a fit and whining and screaming and throwing a fit, we don't take offense to it. We're like, it's a toddler throwing a fit. Like teens, when they're very hormonal, it's like, it's just the hormones talking. Like, don't take offense to it. And then afterwards be like, okay, let's work through that. Maybe we could deal with that better. I don't even know what's wrong with me. It's like, I do. It's hormones, and there's a lot going on, and your body's trying to figure it out, and it's okay. You can say things, and I'm not upset, and I don't even know why I said that. And it's like, it's okay. Like, giving them permission to be okay with it, and then it helps them get through it, you know? But I was also thinking about the Good Shepherd analogy that Father was saying, and we need to know the shepherd's voice. And there's so much mom guilt, and mom guilt is not from the Lord. Like, that is the enemy, like, condemning us. Even someone that's maybe watching right now and is like, oh, well, you three have perfect families and perfect husbands. They're not. Like, I know your husbands and your kids. They're not perfect. Mine definitely are not either. And they have their crazy, wild moments, and they're insane. But I love them because they're ours, right? But it's like, no family's perfect. No family. And that enemy's voice, like, I think just as we need to recognize the Good Shepherd's voice and know the merciful, loving Father, recognize that, oh, if you were a better mom, that wouldn't, oh no, go to hell. Old hairy legs, up to his little tricks.
Absolutely, right? Our emotions are two-way radio. God is there, but so is the enemy. And you're not going to find what a mother is on social media. I think that's what stood out about Father's homily. He called it out multiple times, and he's like, stop looking to social media for your validation. And I was like, whoa. And I'm guilty of that. Let me tell you, the good old thumb exercise when I need to, like, shut off, like, my brain, and I go down the rabbit hole, whether it's Eustace dog videos, or we always come across mom videos or Catholic videos, and then I start the comparison, right? And it's just like, the Lord's like, will you look at me and look at my mother, like, for how to be a mother.
You're going to compare yourself to someone.
It's Our Lady, you know?
And being a virtuous, loving.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was beautiful when you said it and really called it out.
Yeah.
We know we know the voice of the shepherd, and we know, you know, and he, yeah, just specifically even for today, right now, this day and age, social media is like so poisonous for that, you know, and we can see stuff and appreciate it and laugh at it or learn from it, but when it becomes a
primary source,
It's not
and that was what he said afterwards too, was like, if you're not practicing listening to the word of God, if you only hear the gospel for 6 minutes once a week, you're not practicing hearing his word when it's tough. And I was like, oh yes. Yes.
And I think we desperately need other moms walking the walk. Like for me, not living near y'all is so hard. Like I love you guys so much and I miss you. But I think about when Peter was a baby, like to come to you and to bring you my beautiful broken baby, and y'all help nurse back to health and love me and like, Cameron, go to bed. Like,
yes,
I knew, like, even with my family, like if they were like, go to bed, I'd be like, oh, they're thinking I'm being lazy. They're thinking, but with you guys, I'm like, I could just sleep. And I know not only are my kids being loved on well and played with by your kids, but like there's no judgment of me laying in bed. Yes, I'm exhausted and I need to rest. And like Peter was just so sick, and like y'all just like I still like just so much gratitude for you guys loving me in that.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate it so much. And we can't do it alone. We need other moms.
We do. Yeah.
Other good, beautiful soul sisters to walk with us.
And other moms who also, it's not like we're always like, oh yeah, we have it together, so you can fall apart and we'll take care of you.
Turns
it's
falling
like,
apart.
yeah, I can't, like the times when we've like, you know, had a miscarriage and I find out at my house was this person bringing food and that person coming to sweep and their husband coming to take my kids outside to play, you know, like these things where it's just like I didn't even think about it or go like we need, it's like it just happens. But it takes being okay with your friends knowing, okay, my husband isn't perfect, my kids aren't perfect, if you want to come on in, come to my inner circle, you're gonna see all and that's when it can like actually just begin, you know. And so then same thing with Mother's Day, to kind of have those people to like remind you when you do have a really lousy one, you know, to be like, yeah, but you know, like, okay, you know that your kid, oh, you're so good for that, Christine. Like, do you remember when your husband said this to you 2 weeks ago? Your kids did this for you, you know, like remembering the good stuff about each other and reminding in those moments. And it's like,
because we can't compare, even in our women's group, we can't, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Like all of our lives are different, all of our circumstances are different. What the Lord is calling us to and what our crosses are different. Like each of us have crosses, like all 5 of us, and they're some of them are massive crosses, and there's no comparing. There's no comparing. Just
and
to be able to
honest
be
and putting it in, even like y'all, like I felt so bad about not picking you up at the airport, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to be honest.
Yes.
Matt doesn't want me to because I'm really sick.
Yes.
And he thinks I will, you know, just plummet more if I'm up that late. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to throw that out there. And like other women, like I could see someone else being like, oh, I'm flying in from another country. And the nerve of you to not pick me up and take me to the beach where we're supposed to go. You want me to Uber to your house? You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, if it's a bad idea, they know, but you were so beautiful in it. Like, both of you were great in it. And, like, my husband was loving and stayed up and did it so I could be in bed sleeping. And, like, I felt bad about it, but it's like, no, I think you're right. Like, I think that my body is too weak right now. And I much rather pick you up at the airport, but I can't. And I need to know my own limits. And it's hard to be like, yeah, I'm sick. Yeah, I can't do what I want to do.
And I think it's been like that for all 5 of us at different stages of our lives. Like there's always one who loves through food. So no matter what is going on in your life, good, bad, or ugly, there'll be a casserole, you know, and there's one that is good to like lift your spirits with words. And there's been times, and I'm going to call myself out, where it's like I could give nothing, zero. My tank was empty. I had nothing to give, and there were times where it was like guilt, but I've learned that there is no comparison. Like you give when you're called to give it, in the moment you give it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And when we're not in an expectation, when we're not leaning so hard on the other person to fill a void that the Lord could fill, then we're full and we see the love in the little things. You know, and I think that flows into our motherhood. Like we see the love in the little things, not in the big extravagant gestures. Now get me wrong. Big extravagant gestures like getting on a plane with your besties, coming to Florida for Mother's Day is pretty awesome. And our husbands are like absolutely stellar to be holding down the fort with. We figured today we have 30 children amidst the 5 of us.
Yes. Counting the grandchild.
Trying. So 29.
29, a grandchild, and then I think 10 in heaven.
In heaven,
so
between
40,
the 5 of us.
40
souls.
If I can,
From the fruit of the sacrament of marriage. Praise God. Wow. You know?
And it's only going to grow. And it's true. And you're right. Like when I share that, like in the hard times and there's people there, it's also been times when we're all like, sometimes it's like, how could we all possibly be going through this like life-shattering thing at the same time?
Yes.
And people I'm sorry, I can't be there. I have this, or my kid just has to go to the hospital, or
or I've lost my second family member this year. Like you had some huge things, you know, like where it's just like, what is going on? And I think some of that is the Lord being like, there's unification in our sufferings with each other, even without.
When it gets to the point, and this is, I think, especially like having you not live nearby.
Yeah.
It's like to be walking anything you go through with you and be like, what can we do? How can we, you know? So even when the trip was coming up and you're like, I don't know how I'm feeling, we're like, it's cool. Like we
never get to nurse you in person.
We were like, we have like years of pent up wanting to like take care of you. Meanwhile, you're the one barbecuing for us. But there's no expectation.
And turning on a grill and throwing on meat. Y'all have done all the cooking and cleaning, and that's you.
But it's really, to just kind of be okay with the times when we can't even be, because that's when, we pray.
Yes.
And that is as powerful, because somehow we also get through that, even though it's not the dinners at the door. So to remember that as mothers and friends and like women, that like sometimes the same, we can have resentment with Mother's Day, like resentment over anything, right? But like even our friendship, or be like, I'm going through a lot, and where is she? And you have no idea if there's something that she's not even really ready to hand to you to share. We've certainly had that, where it's just like 2 weeks later, you're like, okay, well, this is where I was at. And it's like, okay, so to let go of really expecting at any time. So sometimes, it's like if we can do those little things, like Mother's Day, when it's like, okay, I'm not going to expect flowers, and I am honestly going to be okay with that. And then sometimes you get them and sometimes you still don't, but you're honestly okay. I'm not going to expect my kids to not fight with each other. You know what, my family, they're always, we know, Mom, on my birthday or Mother's Day, we know you just want a clean house and nobody to fight. It's always like the, and I'm like, I don't know that I ever fully get it. But it's like, I'm allowed to say that, but I'm also like gonna have to be okay with, like my husband wrote last night and he's like, we're doing okay, day down, you're not here. And he's like, and the kitchen's like kind of clean. And I'm like, it's hard to come home from being away, or come Mother's Day, come downstairs. Okay, maybe they did bring you breakfast in bed, and then you come downstairs and your kitchen is like vomited banana and like
this is gonna take me
pancake
2 hours.
mix.
Yes. And they, like, children, they don't even think of that.
Oh, and they're elated. They're elated.
Yeah. So then you're like, okay, so I have that, and I'll have to get to that at some point, and it's kind of like just, I don't know, putting it into perspective or adjusting your expectations. It's an ongoing thing. I guess, for me. And at the times when I felt like I like was good at it, I think I thought that was like a thing. Like, ooh, maybe I've mastered that. I did not. Certainly like I'll even say when you shared that like your kids like thought ahead of time and did like Mother's Day tease to my family, and they know, but I was like, Karen's kids made her shell necklace, so
It's a pretty beautiful, perfect show.
you know. And my kids are like, you didn't even give us a chance. What do you mean? Cameron's good. I'm like, I'm kidding.
It's a week before Mother's Day.
They're like, what if it's planned for after? And I'm like, but it's that kind of like, we feel those things and they well up in us, and we have to just be constantly checking ourselves, giving back to the Lord, giving back to the Lord. Like my mantra, give it back to the Lord, hand it back to the Lord.
Yeah.
When all we have is brokenness. You say this all the time. That's what I have to give. I'm broken, Lord. I actually can't do anything, And that's all he needs. He doesn't need our full self that can, run around and get all the things done. He needs us that says like, okay, here I am, and our kids need that mom, and we need to entrust our kids with that mentality of just like, you're okay who you are. I don't expect that from you, 6-year-old, Anyway. Yeah.
It goes back to just the Good Shepherd.
Yeah.
When we're in that moment, we look up and we get it, our affirmation from him, so that we can then be full and pass it to our sheep, who are his sheep. Like it's just...
They're not even ours.
They're never... It's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah. God is good. Amen. Happy Mother's Day.
Amen. Happy Mother's Day.
Yay. Thank you. Oh, love y'all. Love you.